and welcome. That's right. I know you've been missing us. I know you've been cold turkey. We've been out of the scene for so long, and you've been saying, you've been fiending. Where is my TableTakes? I can't. Where have you guys been for so long? And we're back. That's right. You thought we were over with, but we're not. We're back again with the most beautiful people in tabletop gaming. My goodness, look at these faces. Look at all this colored hair.
Oh my God,
yeah. My name is Isabella Von Ghoul, and I'm here together with Bonsai the Baby, Emma the Baby, Kelsey the Baby. You're all my babies.
We're all babies now.
Welcome back again, friends. It's so good to see you guys. We've been off for like 3 weeks.
It's been a while. It's been dust them cobwebs off or put them on because it's almost spooky season. I don't know which.
That's true. Happy October the 1st, everybody. Whee!
Yay!
I've missed you guys so much. This is very strange. It's almost like I don't know how to do this. It's been so long. Emma, we were just talking about you dusting off the cobwebs of something and rejoining back again. What have you been up to?
I accidentally in Animal Crossing again. So it's 2020 again. Not really. Don't mean to freak anyone out.
Back in time.
Back in the before times, in the long dark, there's this game release called Animal Crossing, and everybody lived in their island exclusively, and time passed, and we passed out of time and space into a magical world of wonder. Now I'm back in there. I abandoned my villagers and my island, but it's Halloween now. It's new to me because I missed Halloween last year because I had abandoned them at that point. But I'm excited to get my pumpkins, grow my pumpkins, and make some spooky crafts, make a room in my house, making a little pumpkin patch on the top of my island.
Pumpkin Jack is going to be there.
Jack.
I would say hold on to your candies. Don't sell them if you find them.
It gives you an option to eat them. That seems wrong.
Don't eat
It's
them.
a trap.
Don't eat them. Hoard them.
Don't eat the candies.
Yeah.
Get my new recipes, and
you're making me want to play now too. It's been a while since I looked upon my villagers.
It's everybody because they don't have an update and they need to update, and I'm so frustrated because the game is so good.
It is.
And if you play Pokemon, if you play Animal Crossing on, I'm sorry, I'm reading too far ahead.
There's two Pokemon things on here.
If you play Animal Crossing on mobile, it has so much cool stuff, and it's just do the stuff from mobile.
Yeah. Wait, do they have more stuff on mobile?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did. They had a lot of stuff.
Do you have your same island, or do you make a different island?
It's different. It's like a different game.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I did not know this thing existed. So
yeah, it's
good.
Camp.
Yeah, Pocket Camp.
Pocket Camp.
The only complaint I have about Pocket Camp is the amount of time it takes to craft things. Like the time takes, and that's the time sink that you need like a mobile game, and I get that, but also it takes forever, and I want to hit it.
There's
a timer. It's like 12 hours for a pair of pants.
Yeah, 12 hours for a freaking table, and I'm like,
well. And that's the thing is that because they want you to pay, because if you pay extra, then you get to speed up that time.
And microcurrencies.
It sinks so much money because then you can buy fortune cookies, and the fortune cookies are cool. And
the fortune cookies are the best.
They're the best, but they cost a lot of money, and that's how. So it's pros and cons. Anyway, Animal Crossing, Nintendo, if you're listening, please, I'll do anything.
Please.
Just update the game. It's so good. Please bring Booster, and I'm glad though that you get to experience Halloween for the first time.
For the first time ever in your life.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
The baby Bonsai. Hi. We missed you. How have you been? How are you feeling?
I am feeling awesome. Excellent. Hey, by the way, mental health is important. You should take care of that. over once in a while, and don't be like me that waited until I had a mental breakdown to seek help. Whoops. But it's not stressful. Well, actually, it is very stressful. I've been playing Gas Station Simulator. It is exactly what you think it is. It is you are an owner of a gas station in the middle of nowhere, and you have to build it up.
I watched this. I watched a clip of this, of someone doing this, and it was fucking hilarious. I swear, we already went through our one budget.
That's our one
budget.
Okay.
Budget.
Well, it was good seeing everybody.
Bye. That's how you know we haven't done TableTakes in 3 weeks. I was just like, It's like, I was watching someone play it, and it looks hilarious. It looks so good.
It's glitchy as all heck. That's why you love it. And also, there's this. Spoilers. There's this kid called Dennis in the game, and I hate him. So much. He goes on and he draws what I like to call gooses. It's a goose head that's shaped weird with a very big butt, very long goose neck, very big butt.
I love that the spoiler is that you hate Dennis. And so that's part of the game that you're going to discover that Bonsai hates Dennis. You're like, oh, well, I already knew Bonsai hated Dennis. I love that.
Dennis
that.
is hilarious.
The worst. Oh my God.
Worst. I hate Dennis. And you can't like rush him and scare him away. You have to throw things at him. He won't go away unless you throw things at him.
Is he a person?
He's a kid. He's a kid.
Why
he's
are we
a
throwing
menace.
Things at a child?
Because the game doesn't let me scare him off other ways. They said you have to throw things at him because he's a terrible kid and nobody loves him and he just draws things. And I feel bad. But also I'm like, Dennis, I would offer you a job if you're bored so you could stop coming in and harassing me. Dennis.
Bonsai, did you know like the mechanics in that game of the wheels? Like if you flip a car upside down and you get on one of the wheels, it will throw you off into space infinitely.
Oh, I've accidentally thrown myself off space and also glitched things into the ground.
Yes.
And then
it's very good.
We love this. We love this blue collar life simulator. We love this. Kelsey, what have you been up to?
So back in the olden days, baby Kelsey's first TCG hobby was Pokemon. I love Pokemon. And recently I discovered that there's an online version of the TCG for the iPad, and I can't stop playing it now. Like I was up until 4 a.m. playing Pokemon last night, and it's deeply satisfying, and it makes me wish I kind of want to play it in person now.
Yes.
I really do. The problem is that like then I have to buy cards, and like so the reason I never got into like Magic and any of the TCGs nowadays is because like I'm actually very bad at deck building and like the mechanics and the mindset of deck building, which I realize is something that is like fundamental for like in-person play. And I'm just like sitting here like, God, this looks really fun, but I know the moment I get into like actual deck management stuff, I'm gonna hate myself and hate the top nerds that exist in the deck management world. I don't want to get like well technically and well actually to death in an in-person game.
Yeah, but it's so much fun to play it in person. Just play it casually amongst people that are cool.
So I gotta find like a cool group of Pokemon card people, which is a fun thing to say as a 34-year-old person in the year of our Lord 2021.
No, it's back. Pokemon was bigger than ever in 2020. So it was hard to find any cards. I had to rob a bunch of
kick them out of Targets, right?
They did. It was the same thing for Animal Crossing where they were like, don't come here. We don't have anything at Target. We're
There's nothing here.
There's nothing here.
There's also
There's
those
no
vending machines that are just for Pokemon cards. I have one in the local mall and it's always like get empty very quickly.
There's a machine for them?
Yeah. They have like these little, sometimes in malls, they have these little Pokemon centers and it's like a thing.
I want one. What?
Who's been to the mall in like 80 years?
So I go to the mall once a month because that's where Lush is. And that's my one mall excursion.
Wait, which mall?
Ross Park.
Oh yeah. I love the Ross Park Mall. You don't remember, they used to have a ditty. Anyway.
I've heard it. I've heard the ditty. Anyway,
the pipes above me burst in my apartment building, and the apartment above me, my bedroom sits underneath their bathroom, which is great. So it's just ice cold toilet water splashed down onto me. So that's been great. Been dealing with that for a week. That was really intense. There's a humidifier, baby, inside of there. It's 3 feet tall. It's very massive. I can't sleep in there anymore because they got to soak up all the water. So I got to sleep on my couch. But other than that, I've been doing real great. I got a new tattoo, which I'm very excited. I can't show you. It's on my thigh. It's gross. It's all scabby right now.
I was going to take you stand up on your chair. I was like, we can absolutely see it. Like, how many weird positions have I been on this show to show you like
I'll show you when it's healed and not all scabby and gross. Okay. But it's Kuromi, who's a character from Sanrio, and she's holding a knife.
I love it.
So.
Very powerful.
It's very powerful. And I missed you guys so much because you guys were at Gen Con. Congratulations on another Gen Con. Okay.
It happened.
I know that you guys are confused right now because you're like, I thought this was Gen Con. No, Gen Con happens in real life. There's a thing that also happens off and it's in real and it happens once a year. Anyway, Kelsey, please tell us about how your Gen Con 2021 experience was.
It happened. It was fine. So it was actually like shockingly, and I say this as someone who worked the convention, it was shockingly good. Because like
you worked it's shockingly good. You run it.
I know. It was shockingly good because you have to understand, like I work on the back end, so I live in this misery hell of trying to make all these things happen during like a bizarre year. And so I think our whole team was just like exhausted. Like we were not running and sprinting to the finish line. It was like crawling, like just get it over with. And like it was pretty good. Like, so we had a cap of half capacity and we hit that mark. We hit about 35,000 people. And it felt pretty good. Like it did not feel like super crowded. The only time it felt crowded was I think Thursday right before the exhibit hall opened, and which like one person posted one photo about it and the internet exploded, which was funny to me because it was the only time there was a crowd. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. But like beyond that one moment on Thursday, it felt pretty good. Like it was pretty, it was a pretty charming experience for me to go through the exhibit hall and not get elbowed in the face by someone's backpack going around a corner, which is a thing that has never happened to me at Gen Con until this year. Like I've always just been like shoved or like, just like, please God. And the spacing felt pretty good. Everyone did a very good job about masking, which was great. Because like our team, I know that unless you've worked for Gen Con as a captain or an apprentice or whatever else, Gen Con captains love the rules. And so when we told them like, hey, we're serious about this masking thing, they were like, yes. So they were prepared to enforce it to like the nth degree. And for the most part, like they super didn't need to. They, it was a lot of just like reminding people because like their mask would like slip off their face or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, just put your mask back up. And they'd be like, okay. Or like reminding people that if they wanted to eat, like, hey, we have a whole hall over here where you can eat. And they were like, oh, cool. And like go over and do that. And the most people who were not following our mask policy were people who were not a part of Gen Con. Like on Sunday, someone mentioned it in chat. There was a football game, so the Colts fans cut through the convention center, and like trying to enforce mask mandates on Colts fans is like begging for punishment. What was funny though is a lot of them came in, saw everyone masked, and then put on masks, which it was like, like you figured it out through peer pressure, which is great. But that obviously wasn't everybody. But other than that Sunday, like everything went pretty well, even in the hotels too, because we were enforcing them in any of our hotel spaces as well. And there were very, very few problems. I bought games which is a thing I have not done in 2 years, which was pretty good. I bought one that I watched Emma play, actually, Finger Guns at High Noon. I bought that.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
It was hilarious. I bought the Quiet Year, because I've only ever played it on Roll20, but they had the physical version of it, and I was like, this is for me now.
Nice.
But for the most part, I did at Gen Con what I do at every year at Gen Con, which is spend too much money on art, and I spent 600 American dollars entirely on art. But I will say that 380 of those dollars were from a bet I won from that football game. So thanks, Colts, for giving me Gen Con art money.
I mean, that's great though, because a lot of people have they haven't been able to vendor at conventions, and so they've kind of missed revenue, and you have single-handedly helped pay restart that economy, Kelsey. So congratulations.
That's me. I will say that one of the interesting things I heard is that a lot of our vendors that we spoke to and exhibitors said that they made as much money as they did in 2019, where they were meeting those numbers. Like there were a lot of people who were eager to spend money this convention. And
everything I heard, just the walking around, seeing people, the look in people's eyes, it was just dollar signs in people's. People were just hungry. They weren't even. Some people were demoing games and stuff, but they were just like shoving stuff in the bags. Like, here, take my money, and just like stacks of things. Everybody was so hungry for consumerism, in-person consumerism.
And I don't know if it was partially because with all of the shipping delays and not being able to have access to a lot of that product in the past year, this was a place where they were guaranteed to be able to find it. And so people came prepared to spend money on that hard to find game that has come out in the past year. Like, for instance, this is on the agenda, but I forgot to buy Princess Love Letters, and now I can't find it anywhere because I forgot to buy it at there.
It's really good. I bought it and I got a chance to play it, and I was so excited because Love Letters is just a classic. It's so good. And this updated components and I think more players and stuff, and it's Princess, so it's
so good. Give me more sweet princess lesbian lovers. That's what I desire in my life. And I'm still mad because I got distracted by, we're going to talk about this in the Kickstarter section, but they had all the components and all the pieces for Artisans of Splendid Veil, and so I got so distracted looking at that booth that I totally forgot I was there to buy love letters. Anyway, that was Gen Con.
That's great. Hopefully we'll be able to see more people next year at Gen Con 2022. Speaking of major purchases being made, it sounds like there's another big purchase of another company that I swear had already been bought before, and is now being sold for an exorbitant amount of European money, as they say, which I've never heard of before.
European dollars.
European dollars.
Asmodee is being sold. Again, this is, I feel like half the shows on here, we're talking about Asmodee buying someone or Asmodee being bought by someone. This is the dark, evil capitalist underpinnings of our industry here. So it was last sold to PAI Partners, I believe, in 2018 for 1.2 billion euros, which I'm pretty sure that's about the same in US dollars, unless it means 10 US dollars, but I don't think that's correct. I think it's about similar.
2.3 billion dollars.
Well, that was so in 2018 it was sold for 1.2 billion, and now it's being sold for 2 billion.
They have hamburgers.
That's a lot of Levi jeans.
That's a lot of Levi jeans.
Hamburgers.
It's 5 Levi jeans.
It's just 5 pair of extremely expensive Levi jeans.
That's a lot of money for a billion with a B.
Yeah, and only 7 years ago, it was sold for 143 million. So that's just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and just shows. And Asmodee has bought companies since then to increase their valuation, but also I'm sure all of the companies that are under it are all going bonkers and making the monies, making the cash monies. So that's, no one knows who's purchasing it yet, but the board game industry is booming. It's on the rise.
Does it start with a D and rhyme with IBI?
No, I don't think so, honestly.
Okay.
Like, what is most likely to happen, I was talking about this in a podcast earlier this week, is I think it's going to get sold to another investment company, just a different investment company, rather than, because I don't think anybody has the deep enough pockets right now and has the interest in the portfolio that Asmodee has, except maybe Hasbro, and I don't think they have those dollar signs right now.
I mean, it's being handled by Goldman Sachs, which immediately I'm like is the most sinister.
I know.
Group. But I'm trying to think of like who else has that kind of money except for like what Disney, Hasbro, Amazon. I mean,
Amazon actually, that might be if we're going with a company that actually is not just a straight up investment firm. Amazon's an interesting take. Like I could see that happening, but like, my suspicion is it's just going to go to another nameless entity like they currently have now. And the hope is that they do what the current one did, which is they're just kind of hands off and funnel money in them and to help them, make more money instead of getting their like grubby little corporate fingers in it and potentially messing up Asmodee's profits and Asmodee's products.
Yeah, there is potentially some risk because in the past when Asmodee has changed hands, there have been shakeups. So because again, Asmodee is most board game publishers that you know or have heard of. So sometimes they sell off chunks of it or merge chunks of it because they're just they own everything and they can do just about anything. They can even go in nitty gritty and like cancel individual games, so it's exciting growth news, but also kind of scary to think that any game that you purchase or love, like a lot of the publishers are still independent, but a lot of them are under this umbrella of just like, they're a flea. They're like, this game is gone. Boop.
Yeah.
Well, never get them again.
Speaking of exciting expansion news, there is some, I was going to sing the 5 Ring song from Ariana Grande, but then that might get us kicked off of Twitch, so never mind.
Oh yeah, DMCAs, all the DMCAs. But not to be confused with a recent movie that came out with a really cool Asian superhero. Legends of the 5 Rings is getting a D&D 5th edition adaptation. So if you guys don't know what Legend of the 5 Rings are, it's basically a Eastern very mix of like, I want to say a very big mixed bag of Chinese, Korean, and Japanese culture mixed up and shook really, really, really much into a setting. Because I want to say Eastern, but it has so many of the cultures.
So many cultures. They just kind of mash them together in a fun appropriation pot.
Yes. So the book itself is called Adventures in Rokugan, and Edge Studio is going to be releasing formally a FFG RPG 5. And then the existing, so don't worry, the existing Legend of the 5 Rings is still continuing. This is just going to be a 5th edition at like basically thing you can play with in 5th edition, D&D 5th edition. The shift and the tone for the 5th edition is going to be more heroic and legendary characters, and like more iconic, like for the lore of the game. So you will definitely get significant figureheads that mean a lot. Like if you ever played Dynasty Warriors back in the day, when it's all about the generals and you go in and you just like I missed that game. Anywho, but yeah, that is essentially what you're getting. You're exploring the 5 Rings, like just the themes and everything with D&D mechanics. Ta-da! So get looking for that coming out soon.
I'm excited about it. I think it'll be cool to see that in a D&D setting.
You know what we're not excited about? We're not excited about more just tomfoolery, more nonsense inside of different companies. It feels like this is our semi-regular segment where we have to talk about more HR issues and people problems. Kelsey, please bring us down by talking about this.
Okay, so last week at Gen Con, 2 weeks ago, ago at Gen Con, some news broke, not at Gen Con, but around the same timeline, that a very high-level, long-standing employee of Paizo, who works in their customer service department, had been let go in a way that was not entirely clear and left a lot of employees feeling very uncertain and a little scared of just why that person was let go, what happened, especially since they had such a long-standing impact on the company. And it was bad enough that another employee quit in protest. And they were talking about how there is a real lack of transparency in the company, how management is very unwilling to listen to their employees and incapable in many cases of doing so in order to make the changes that they want done. There was a lot of comments from Jessica Price, who is a previous Paizo employee, about unsafe and unclean working conditions. Like there was something about how no one ever came and vacuumed the carpet, and to the point where they had to like come in and do it themselves because they hadn't been vacuumed in 7 years, which was a little funny to me because let me tell you, the old Hasbro corporate office is in what used to be a manufacturing building, and it was the same thing. Like there are people who used to get sick working there because it's in an old menu. So it felt very Hasbro to me reading that. And there seems to be a lot of stress issues, a lot of implications that folks who were managing contractors and freelancers were treating their freelancers very poorly, especially if they were transgender, and mismanagement issues that resulted in a lot of like stress and anxiety, probably around deadlines and content production, if I had to guess. The whole thing has a very Blizzard Activision vibe of what's going on there, which I kind of had a feeling that we were going to see more of now that ABK employees did this, because once one group starts talking about the situation they're in and tries to rally, you start to see that in other companies, which is great. That's what you want to happen. Yeah. What is less good is that Paizo's response at first was quite unofficial. It was the president of the company responding to a forum post initially about how the allegations against him personally, which were statements that he had made like misogynistic, comments and anti-LGBTQ comments about individuals, he opposed those and said that those aren't true. And then his official statement felt like there was no real direct response to what was happening and what the employees were talking about. There were some suggestions of forward movement, like he's starting to put out basically like surveys internally that are anonymous that people can give feedback through, so employees can feel comfortable coming back with that kind of stuff. They are re-upping their anti-harassment and their diversity training. So because it used to, you have to do it, I think the way their system works, I think you had to do it every 3 years, and now they're just going to have them do it every year, which is probably everybody should do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're right about it, though. I think that, once you see it happening at other companies, that it's easier then for you to kind of broach the issues in your company, which I think is another credence for how good and how brave it is for anybody to make a movement towards pushing back for these things, because of the fact that it helps so many other people. It sucks in the time, to have to push back. And I think one of the things that we're talking about even more and more is that, like, we think of nerd spaces as being like, it's nerds, like we're harmless, it's just us hanging out doing what we do, with our games. And we tend to think, I think a lot of the stuff around nerd culture is like, it's the jocks, it's the preps, it's like the cool kids, those kids do toxic stuff, but we're just nerds, and we need to have real conversations about the fact that, like, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, bigotry is pervasive in all factors. It doesn't matter that you've read all of the Lord of the Rings, okay? Like, it doesn't matter.
It's probably not a good sign, actually.
I mean, it doesn't matter what your hobbies are. You're not excused from this, and I feel like for so many years, it's been this kind of thing that like, those are the things that happen in like other circles, jock circles, prep circles, but like not the nerds. And I think that what we're finding out, I'm actually kind of heartened by the fact that that we're finding out that more people are speaking up and that these more things are being uncovered, because that means that less and less of this is sort of going under the rug and more people are speaking out. And so I think it's painful and it's awful. And I hate that we have like a nearly bi-weekly segment on this, but at the same time, it's like, at least they're not going ignored anymore.
I agree. It's one of those things that like, I will say the big difference between this and the ABK one is that the ABK one had a huge level of community rallying and community support behind it. And this one does not. Like there is, you're seeing some hashtags for Paizo accountability and you're seeing it in some people's, Twitter names or whatever, but this is not taking the same amount of visibility. So I would encourage you, if you are a fan of Paizo products, and I personally believe it's important to be critical of the things that you care about in order for it to be sustainable, to just check in and make sure that they are holding themselves accountable for their actions. Because like I said, Jeff from Paizo has a plan and has stated a plan what he wants to do going forward, but we want to make sure that that actually happens and that there's some level of transparency there. And a lot of people were complaining that there wasn't like a specific apology, or there wasn't like some of this was a little bit muddled. And what I would say is when it comes to someone being specifically fired or released, there's a lot of legal crap in there too that might be restraining them from speaking publicly. And the same thing with the people who got fired.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would give a little bit of leniency to the way it's phrased. And what's more important is that they have an action plan about what they're going to do going forward, and that they're communicating that action plan, and that it's something that we as consumers can look at and go, have you done these things? Have you done X, Y, and Z? And we should all be holding the companies that we care about and the products that we care about accountable as best we can.
For sure.
That's my soapbox.
No, that was great. So moving on to something that we are has the nerds are a flutter. We are losing our minds over. This is the big news that was released. There is a quote unquote next evolution of D&D coming out. The nerds have been losing it. Is it the 6th edition? Is it another? What's going on? We're going from a Pikachu to a Raichu. Okay, we're going from a what comes before a Blastoise? We're going from
Squirtle, Wartortle,
a Blastoise. We're losing it because we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of D&D, which is crazy in 2024. Please, Bonsai, please let's talk about it.
All right, welcome to. I'm going to put my imaginary fake tin hat on that I usually do when we talk about these.
You just need a real one because you keep saying one.
I should have grabbed one. I have aluminum foil, but like too lazy to walk over there. But also, hey, you know how like I've been saying for as long as I've been on Gen Con TableTakes, the new player's handbook is coming. So hey, if you guys didn't know, during the Future of D&D panel in the D&D celebration in 2021, Ray I'm gonna mess up this name. Winninger. Executive producer of D&D teased basically that the quote unquote next evolution for D&D will be coming out in 2024. And then like Izzy was saying, it is going to be the 50th anniversary of D&D also coinciding with the 10-year anniversary of the release of the 5th edition. So there's a lot of speculations about what this next evolution could be. Some folks are saying that it's a 5.5 edition because they are saying that this will be backwards compatible with the 5th edition rules. Also, some may say, I'm going to be starting at the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. You know, they stopped that in the 2nd edition, but they could bring it back. Ultimately, I think they're just going to roll out with the 6th edition. Lucky number 6.
I don't think so.
10 years. 10 years.
I mean,
gotta get a new shiny book.
But it's I kind of feel like this, right? Like if it's 5.5, I'll be kind of disappointed because it's 50 years, you know, it's been 10 years since the last book. There's been a wave of new people. Make me another hat. I want a hat too. Because I'm
about to put my hat on too. Like we're gonna have a whole tinfoil party here in a minute.
See, so because if you think about it, 50 plus 10 is 6 in the
Oh my god.
6th edition. Okay. Bam.
Look at Emma. She's like,
But we'll just still have to wait and see what this is. It doesn't seem to be an official announcement about a new edition. They're just calling it the next evolution. They're just using all these next. Next is the big word. I'm saying next isn't a 5.5, it's a 6. What comes after 5 is 6. Just saying. So
here's my 5.5, then 5.5 and 3/4, then 5 and 7/8.
I've got 2 tinfoil hat theories about this. One is the same as you, which is because like the big thing about 5e is that there's been a ton of extra a ton of extra content that has appeared in each subsequent release that if you're a new player coming into D&D is way too much to manage. Like if you look at, I use D&D Beyond now more than I use my books because at least I can see all the races, all the subclasses, all the feats and all everything, versus if I try and do that in my real life, I can't remember which book it's in. I have to go search around for it. And so having a collated 5.5 book would be great. But here's my actual other tinfoil hat theory. Hats on, baby. Hats on. So the big thing that I've been seeing pick up steam in the past few years is kind of that return to like old school gaming. And we've seen every company screw it up for a variety of social impact reasons, and it has not been going well. But there is some real hunger, I think, for a return to like that old crunchy kind of 80s style rule set. And I am thinking that they're going to release a revised like 1.0 edition and like a real like return to old school rules. That is my thought. And I think that would also be fitting for like the anniversary too. It's like, oh, it's D&D anniversary. Here's like Crunchy McCruncherson, old school 80s nerds. This is what you've wanted. And you have, tried to find it in other companies and it hasn't quite worked out, but here it is. Boop. Like, that's my guess.
Here's the thing though. If it's the next evolution, would it make sense for it to be the first iteration of the next evolution?
I don't know. This is why this is tinfoil hat. Like I can't ancient aliens this all the way to its fruition.
I think that's a really cool idea. And I think that like incorporating the original, which most of us have never played. I've never played.
Was it good?
Well, that's what I've heard. So I've never played. I started on the, I think 4th edition, I think was the maybe. So, it's like, I think going and revisiting for the 50 years, which is monumental, revisiting the past, kind of going through those
non-racist 1.0 would be pretty cool.
Yes. And that's maybe the next evolution is that they're like, we're taking this to the future and making it not racist anymore and like revisiting, because I think that's like they have to address this somehow, right? Because when we talk about the legacy of D&D, that's always going to be huge, right? And if we're going to talk about what is the 50-year legacy of it, that's a huge blight. That's a huge stain in the legacy. So I think that that's kind of an interesting sort of a thing. It's got to be the 6. Why not? How much longer are we supposed to wait for the 6.
5 is so good. I don't want a 6.
But 6 is more than 5. It's technically one more than 5. So
I like Kelsey was saying with the D&D Beyond, like D&D Beyond is just D&D, right? And just is the place for it. I think it's really become a living game, and I think probably the smartest thing to do is to treat it more like a video game, something that you do patches to, but you don't want to it's World of Warcraft. You don't want to overhaul the entire system again. And at this point, the more people you get into it, the more risky it becomes to throw this whole new thing out there. And what really is the benefit, unless they can get more people in, but the people in there for the most part what it is. So just going around the edges, like more content, like that's how they're going to make more money from it. Like the releasing a whole new book way to play, right? Like I totally believe in going back to the beginning, more content, getting the old stuff out there for the people who want it. But what overhaul would really make D&D better? What can they do at a grand scale that would still feel like D&D?
The only thing I can see the only argument I can make for myself for wanting a 6.0 is that at a certain point, it's going to feel very bloated every time they put out a new book with a new race and a new class and a new whatever, because even with the last one they just put out last week, they brought in another race. There's a brand new D&D race, and I was like, there's rabbits now? You got rabbit people? All right.
Oh no. Yeah, it's all we have to speculate and see about. I don't know. Maybe they'll just actually throw away the whole idea of just a plain book that only has one, where you get a tablet D&D book instead that you can upload everything.
God, please just get me PDFs, man. I'm so tired of having to buy
onto the custom
$50
D&D.
books and not having a PDF.
Next generation, we're going paperless. Maybe
it is. Let's start putting money on this. Let's start betting.
I'm not betting against Kelsey. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, right?
Got a ringer over here.
So some more exciting game news that's coming up for people who are into IPs like I am, which is why I slapped on this Batman shirt really quickly. Blade Runner is getting a game. Very excited about this. This is brought to you by the people who did the Alien game, Dune Imperium, which slapped. And Dune is finally coming out, you guys, this month. I'm so excited to be able to finally see this movie. And also the Tales from the Loop game, which also is very good as well. They're coming out with a Blade Runner, which is an adaptation from the movie. It's going to take place in between Blade Runner, the original 70s version, and Blade Runner 2049, the Denis Villeneuve version as well, which also very good. Those are both very good movies. I'm super into cyberpunk. It feels like cyberpunk is in. All right, your high fantasy out, your wizarding schools out. All right, your elves, no more of that. Even though we're probably going to go right back into it because the Lord of the Rings TV show is coming out soon,
and D&D show.
Oh, my nerd heart.
And also they're also one of the games that's coming up from the same publisher after the Blade Runner is going to be a Lord of the Rings game.
They're doing a Lord of the Rings. Felix doing Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, it's going to be called the second edition of The One Ring, which is going to come out on Kickstarter later on this year. So, all right, I guess there's room for all of us. Okay, but I still want to have lots of cyberpunk, lots of rain, lots of searching for androids, and maybe you're an android yourself. Who knows? So that's going to come out. Very excited for that. Kelsey, I hear that there is some comic book tie-ins for Heart and Spire.
Yeah. So Heart and Spire, which is Grant Hewitt, who is a fantastic man who makes fantastic games, has a new game under development based on the Die comic book series. It's currently being kickstarted right now. And what I like about Grant and the way he kind of develops games is he's very public about the process. And so if you go on his Twitter, he's very in depth about the rules in progress and the beta, and you can participate and give feedback, which I think is why the games that they make are honestly as good as they are. And the Die Comics follow a group of gamers that got transported to a fantasy realm and barely escape. It's very like, do you guys, I don't know if any of you remember the D&D animated series, but that's what it feels like to me. It's
I try not to.
I know, it's very brief sidebar. One of the bars I used to go to back in Providence every night would just play that on repeat in the bathroom, and it was like the reason you got out of the bathroom fast, because it was just all the time.
I like that. It's psychological warfare.
It is psychological warfare to get out of the bathroom. But Rowan, Rook, and Decard, who is the publisher of a time, both Spire and Heart. And Honey Heist too. They did Honey Heist.
Oh, Honey Heist.
I love Honey Heist. We ran Honey Heist on here last month, which was a treat. They put out good games, really good games. So I feel like even if you aren't a fan of the comic, which like for me, I don't follow that comic, but I do follow Rowan, Rook, and Decard. So I was excited to see that they were putting out a new game, and now I'm going to look at that comic book because if they put out good games, this comic book is probably good. I feel like if they've got a relationship with this, so I think it'll be worth checking out. And if you haven't checked out Aspire or Heart before, like it's very, very good. If you haven't checked out Honey Heist before, hilarious. One of the best I'm putting it out here now, best system of 2021.
Wow.
2020.
Wow.
Even though Spire and Heart did win several Ennies, but why not Honey Heists? Honey Heist, you get to be a bear. Like, I'm just saying. It's great.
In a game where you don't get to be a bear, there are no bears unless those bears are undead. The Resident Evil board game is going to be coming out on Kickstarter starting later on this month, October 26th. The thing about this Kickstarter is that it is only 16 days. It's a shortened, tight little window for a Kickstarter. This one is taken directly from the original Resident Evil game, where you are one of the members of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, aka STARS, who winds up in this spooky mansion where there's all kinds of spooky things happening inside of that spooky mansion. The Kickstarter is going to be pretty unique. We have 16 days, and it's going to be community driven, which means that you guys, based on how much you pledge, will decide on what gets included into the game. And I imagine that that's going to be like, donate to this game. We have or we're going to let Chris Renfield have it.
So good.
Jill's gonna get it in the shin if you don't give us some more money. She's gonna be real slow. The zombie's gonna catch right up to her. So we'll probably follow back up with this when it comes out on October 26th. But you can go ahead and check that out now if you're a big fan of Resident Evil. I'm very interested to see how they're going to do Resident Evil on board game mechanics. It sounds like they have some really cool choice-driven kind of stuff. Kind of sounds like Gloomhaven. I don't know. I'm very
16
interested.
days is what weirds me out, though.
Yeah.
16 days is not very long to run a Kickstarter campaign,
right.
Especially one that is as vaguely built as this one. So I'm like, but
I like it because it's choice driven. It's like, you better do it. You better work.
It's capitalism.
She's gonna get it. If you don't donate in 14 days, she's gonna get it.
That's what I do with my surgery GoFundMe. It's just like, it's gonna get it. If you don't donate to get my chest surgery,
I gotta put it all back. No,
it's gonna get even bigger.
That's how all Kickstarter should be, is just threats. Just like, if you don't do it soon.
Just threats. I like to be threatened by my capitalist overlords. That's what I like. I want all of my brands to threaten me.
Speaking of our overlords, we have a boss this week. Bonsai, the Bumble, the baby, the boss,
Bumble,
the baby bundle boss.
I got my boss hands on right now.
Oh, I hate that more than I hate.
What?
Why is it the color of jaundice?
No.
Why do you have tiny jaundice hands?
Where did that even come from? from?
Because there was limited color choices. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh my god, I don't like this.
But yes, today on the bundle bus, the bundle bus. By the way, hey, let's go ahead and talk about our bundles today with me, Bonsai Buns. First bundle we have is the Warhammer audiobook bundle by Humble Bundle. Oh my god, there's so many words in there. So basically, hey, if you want to go ahead and get like the live Warhammer universe, one audiobook at a time, just like Age of Sigmar, 40K, you know, fan of the fantasy or the sci-fi version of Warhammer, it's just the plethora is just available for you audiobook wise. So you could just sit down and listen, or like how I do, I usually get audiobooks and just do like chores around the house, as long as I don't have to actually think about typing or anything like that. Very cool thing to do. And so if you're a really big Warhammer fan, either the fantasy version of Warhammer, or of course the what is called the fantasy or sci-fi version, you know, grimdark, everything grimdark, you can go ahead and get it. And this one, for the Humble Bundle, this package also supports Every Library, which is a foundation that gives books and supplies to libraries in hard, like, you know, basically communities that essentially don't get good government assistance. Cool. So, and the next bundle. Yeah, Every Library. You can go ahead and check it out. Go ahead. And Bundled Holding has two different packages that they're offering. The 5th edition Platinum Showcase that has Ancestry, Cultures, Gene Funk, Sly Flourish, and more. Just, you know, top selling indie tabletop role-playing ebooks for Dungeons and Dragons. Most notable, they have Ancestry and Culture. This replaces D&D's biocentric races with other options that help spark a wider conversation, you know, and about how to handle race in D&D and RPG books. They also have Sly Flourish Fantastic Adventures, 10 short adventures from the Lazy DM and his leading the voice and advice on how to run a D&D book. And this package helps direct relief, which of course, hey, by the way, did you guys know COVID's still around? Get your vaccines. And so this direct relief helps all those hospitals and places around the world that are dealing with like the pandemic. It provides masks, all that kind of good stuff, like surgical, or not surgical, but like, you know, air pumps to keep people alive kind of thing. So if you want to go ahead and help out that good cause, go ahead and support the 5th edition Platinum Showcase. And then Mutant Power Up is our last bundle from the bundle holding today. A recent tabletop role-playing ebook supplement for Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition. It includes the deluxe GM guide, super team handbook, and the Time Traveler's Codex. It's a superhero RPG based on, and also a superhero RPG based on D&D's 3rd edition. So it's companion bundle from 2019. And M&M Earth Prime as well. And this one helps out specifically the California Community Foundations for Wildfire Recovery Fund. California, lots of fires. It's always on fire, especially because, you know what, global warming. It happens, you know, and animals that live in these forests need to be helped and trees need to be replanted. So, hey, if you want to go ahead and help, you know, trees, because, you know, we need them to live and breathe oxygen, you might want to go ahead and catch this bundle as well. And those were our bundles for the day.
I will say that if you're going to support any of these, like the 5e Platinum Showcase one, has a really, really good book that I love in it, and that's the Gene Funk one. It is like a biopunk style game, so it's cyberpunk adjacent, and like basically like a computer has like recoded your DNA into like new cool sci-fi races. Like, it is a super cool book, and the other two you get with this, like it's $10 and you get 3 amazing books. Like, I'm already bought it, but you should too.
Yes. All right. going over from our boss, which and their terrifyingly tiny hands, over into our queen, who is bringing us the Kickstarts all the way from Kickstarter.
Do you have the theme song? Yep, I hear it.
I love how the music this is all I have for music.
It's good.
So it's just the dulcet tones, the Kickstarter. This is the joy that you feel in your heart. The song that your heart plays when you spend money on these fabulous, fabulous things that will maybe come to you a year or two from now.
I love that.
Yeah. Kickstarters. We got some ones today that we were very excited about. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. Bonsai, you want to kick us off with one of the most exciting Kickstarters?
Yeah, okay, folks, if you're just coming in and you want to know about the Kickstarter that we are geeking out about today, it's called The Artisans of Splendid Vale.
So good.
It has 6 days left, so that ends October 7th on Thursday. It's I always have trouble with this word, cooperative adventure game set in a magical land of beauty, adventure, and more magic. It's a 2 to 4 player co-op. I'm going to just say co-op because that's a better way to say it. Co-op adventure game that is like basically just beautiful artwork flowing with cuteness and so many lovely bodies that I love. The story is storybook driven adventure game. Like a lot of dungeon crawlers are like Mice of Mystic. If you ever played the board game Mice of Mystics, it kind of plays like that with branching storylines. You upgrade your character. So here's the cool thing. You upgrade your characters, not just stats, but they provide you with stickers and you put the stickers on your characters to upgrade them. It's so good. And it got items and stuff and you just pull it out. It's about a 40-hour campaign. And this game is focused, so the big thing about it is this game is focusing basically on queer and trans POC characters. So it just wants to highlight that for folks. So it's inclusive, you know that? And it's just, you just have to see the artwork. I'm going to go ahead and put it in chat right now.
I got it. I posted the link in there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
They've gotten through a lot of their stretch goals already. I backed this to its pan ultimate level because the pan ultimate level, the pan ultimate level includes 3 plushies, which I'm very, very into. But like the thing about this game too is it doesn't just highlight queer and trans POC characters. It's actually made by trans and queer POC folks too. So you're supporting designers that are actually writing about, the things that they know best, which I am always a big fan of. And the artwork is, I was going to say delicious, which is the wrong word, but I'm thinking about my lunch. The artwork is delicious. I highly recommend if you are going to back this to back it up at the level that makes it replayable, because the one downside of this is that because of those stickers, the replay value can get a little rough, but one of the higher ends of this has a replayable, like you can just replay the same character sheet, so you can use the stickers and do it again and again and again. I am very excited about this game. I'm very excited to support some of the folks that are designing and writing and doing art for this game. So yeah. I think you should do it. Oh yeah, our links aren't working. I'm gonna post them.
Yeah. So we do that. So moving right along, we've got Reap. Reap is a game where you play Reapers. This one is really cute. It's got 25 days to go, ending on Thursday, October 28th. This one is where you get to play as Death. They have a bunch of different little Death characters, Reaper characters that you can play, and you're helping people to move over into the afterlife. This game I thought was a really good one because of the fact that it comes out right after a very solemn year where we've all had to sort of confront our mortality. The game designer, who has the coolest name in the entire world, his name is Jason Anarchy. That's
wow,
their real name.
Wow, That's a good name.
From the German anarchies. They said their inspiration from the game came all from the death of the COVID era. It sucked, so I wanted to use my power of making silly card games to make death look silly, to kind of say F you death. From there, it kind of turned into a really charming strategic game. I'm excited to share it with other people who like spooky things and have a morbid sense of humor. So I love that. The game has a whole bunch of stuff inside of it, like you get little soul cards, little meeples, and you're basically trying to compete with other reapers to help other souls pass on, which we love. There's been a lot of games coming out about helping people pass over into another life, which is really touching, and I really like it. So check that out if you want to play as a reaper, helping souls cross over while trying to also beat your friends who are also reapers, help souls pass over as well. The next one that I have, which is kind of a not conventional one, but I thought that this was really worth mentioning. This is actually a story path adventure picture book, also known by its German name.
Say it. Say it.
Is Wimmelbilderbuch. Which means a teeming picture book, which is a book that has lots of pictures. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you probably remember this dude named Richard Scarry, who would have a bunch of pictures where it was like a cat family and then also like a dog family, but also there was a worm in a hat and he just had a single pant leg.
Screaming cat lady.
And it was a really popular thing back in the day when I was a kid. And this one is a picture book where it has a whole bunch of different kinds of adventures. You can see all the pictures. The art is really, really beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Japanese wide panel art, where you'd see Oni and Tengu and you'd see skeleton people and they're all fighting a war, and then there's like cats in samurai armor and stuff like that. And it also really reminds me a lot of Hayao Miyazaki as well. And the reason why I included this, even though it's not a game per se, it's a strategy adventure book, is that it helps people of all ages, particularly young people, kind of develop more of their storytelling mechanics inside of their mind. So if you are trying to get somebody into D&D or into storytelling game, but it seems like it's too much for them to kind of make up their own stories or make up their own characters and stuff like that, I think this is a really cool book to kind of help you. You have one person and you're guiding them through. So you look at the big picture and you say, tell me what's happening to this person as they're going through this picture. They're talking to that person, they're getting this person over here, they're talking that, they're what's their objective, and you can kind of go through. And I think that's really cute, and I really love stuff like that. And if I knew children, which I don't, I would do this with a child. I have to go find one. I'll be back real quick.
Steal a child.
Find a child. Okay.
Find a child. They're gonna come in and like be like trick or treat. Do you want to do this?
If I come back,
children with candy.
If I come back next week and I have a child, don't say nothing. Okay.
Oh my God.
Anyway, this is Through the Invisible World, a story path adventure. It ends October 7th. Check it out now.
Yeah, I'm here to talk about critical care. The internet's blowing up about critical care, and I'm not just talking about critical care in real life. I'm talking about critical care, the co-op game where you work in an intensive care unit and you work with your friends to heal people. And you're saving lives. And I've wanted to play this game, and I'm very jealous because Emma has, but my Twitter has been blowing up. One of my friends, I don't know if we're friends. I'd like to think we're friends. I'm going to put that out into the world. Omari Akil, who just does great work. Oh yeah. Helped design this bad boy, and I'm very excited to when he was posting, and he's been amping it up for weeks now. And so I slapped that back button pretty quick. But Emma, can you tell me about the gameplay, because it looks very good. Yeah.
Well, first of all, everyone wants to be friends with Omari because Omari is awesome, so cool, and the best. And check out the fashion posts.
His fashion is like choice. Yes.
Amazing stuff, but also amazing design chops. I had so much fun playing this. Omari had posted some slots for playtesting and demoing the game, and I signed up for one. So I actually got Omari taught me the game. We played through it together, and it was just really super fun. And basically what you're doing is you have your character who you're trying to save, but it's cooperative. So everyone has their own characters, but you don't win the game unless everybody is saved. So you can play treatments onto other people, and you have specialists who are doctors, and you have complications that come up every round. It's a cooperative game that's super tense. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, which is great for a cooperative game, but it also felt like I had important stuff that I had to do, and I was making my own choices throughout the course of the game. And I love a game where the theme drives the mechanics, because everything felt, honestly, even though there's a lot going on, everything felt pretty easy to grok, because you're like, oh, obviously I play the treatments onto the characters. And the theme did a lot of work there for making the game just make a ton of sense. And it's about helping people too. So yeah, check it out.
Oh, and I have one that's next too. I forgot. Voidfall. So Voidfall is a 4X game, which I admittedly don't know a ton about. And the reason why I was interested in this game is because it's gorgeous. And it comes with so many components. Like if you open up this Kickstarter and look at the images, you're going to be like, Jesus Christ, how does the game have this many pieces? And they all look this cool. Like the design of it is extremely synthwave, which is like my jam. Like that aesthetic is just something that I deeply, deeply adore. It is a Euro style 4X game with like super, super cool pieces too. The upgraded parts have like, instead of having cardboard pieces, you have like actual ship models you can use and move around. One of my favorite things is that they have, for your damage counters, they have like little kind of like a resin splash things you put your dice in, so it looks like the die actually hit the game board where you're getting damage, and it's like sploosh. It looks very, very cool. I appreciate aesthetic design work, especially for boards like this that have so many pieces. It's also highly reusable, which I love. So instead of having card pieces that are just like one piece for every character, what they do is they have like an insert, and you can insert your stats or your different pieces into this character card sheet. So it provides like a little bit more of a sustainable experience in this world in which no one has paper and no one can print board games right now. We had a whole conversation the other day about what kind of alternate materials can we start making board games out of, since we have no paper anymore. Yeah. Like, can we make them out of erasers, perhaps? I don't know.
Bring back the wood.
Yeah, well, the problem is paper is made from wood.
But there's no wood either. We're out of wood.
Out of wood. We're out of paper.
Tires.
I don't know what else tires are good.
Yes. Yes.
I'm into tires. All right, so we'll do that. So please check that out if you're into the synthwave aesthetics. If you like 4X games, I think it's a gorgeous example. And then the other thing that I was kind of hype on is this portable paint case for minis. And I don't know about you guys, but I have friend groups where we have like paint nights for our minis. And if you've ever had to bring all of your painting supplies and your minis, it sucks. It sucks out loud. Like there's just so many pieces. There's no good way to store them. And this paint case is clever. It is very clever. It is extremely well done. And it looks like a sewing kit. Like it folds out and open like a friggin' Mary Poppins bag. And there are spots for your minis that are on like stands that you would hold so you can paint them without like getting your grubby little fingers all in the paint, which I adore. And I need more of, by the way. Merry Christmas to me. Buy me mini holders. And it has a lot of spaces for all of your paints. Oh, Isabel's dead. Nope, she came back. All right, here she is. The thought of having to paint minis made her explode. So if you are a person who travels to paint minis, or if you paint minis at your friend's house, or if you have friends who do this hobby, this is really good and very useful. So I highly recommend checking that bad boy out.
Last but not least, River and Stone playing cards by Beth Sobel that has about 10 days left. These are playing cards. They're beautiful. Beth Sobel is an amazing artist who does a lot of the art on the board games that you know and love. What's super cool about this deck is it's really letting Beth lean into just her wheelhouse of nature and animals, just adorable art on this. The suits are the sky raven, the forest fox, mountain pika, and then ocean jellyfish, which is super adorable. And one of the coolest thing about this deck of cards is the court cards. Instead of being your traditional Jack, Queen, King, each one is 3 stages of an individual person's life. So like the spades is one person as a child, as a young adult, and then as an aged elder. So it's really cool to see the evolution of this person's life. And they're all femme characters too. So that's super exciting to see. Yeah, Beth does an amazing thing. She's doing amazing with this Kickstarter. And yeah, definitely check that out. And I played with this an early prototype of this deck, and I won my first game of cribbage when I learned cribbage. So it's lucky. That just is a good thing. So you should check it out because of that too. That's it for Kickstarters.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for sticking with us for this return episode of Table Takes. It's been great. I love being here with all of my babies and also my future baby that I'm about to go see.
Oh, yeah, your captured child. Yeah.
Your captured child.
Isn't there like some fairy tale where it's like a woman who, anyway.
Snow Queen?
All of them?
There's several, honestly.
Yeah.
There's so
Baba
many.
Yaga steals some kids too.
Yeah.
There's
Steal some
Hansel and
babies.
Gretel.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I can't wait. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Before you go, wait, don't touch that dial. Let me tell you about our streaming schedule. This Monday, 6 p.m., we got the board games with the Brothers Smurf. Wednesdays, 10 a.m. This is all Pacific Standard Time. It's the only time. It's the best time. I'm sorry. 10 a.m., this game gets dicey. And then Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come back. We'll miss you. Oh my goodness. And join us again for Table Takes for the hot, spicy, boiling hot Table Takes. Okay? Remember to follow or subscribe. Slap that notification button. If you miss a show, you can always catch our streams 24 hours later on the YouTube. If you want to see our faces again, maybe you just want to watch it again because you had such a good time. I don't know. If you want to connect with other Jen, Connie, and fans, say hi to the people that you missed at the con. Say, hey, I saw you back in the old days. There used to be this thing on the website where you can get free stuff, and it was this website. What's the name of it? Really quickly. Okay.
No.
Newgrounds? No. Napster.
No. It was a website, and you would put up ads. And
Craigslist.
Yes, Craigslist. And they had this thing called misconnections, where you could write to another person. You say, I saw you at the grocery outlet, and there you are. Okay, but you could do that anyway on the Discord. Okay.
That went like this.
Listen, okay, we got there. Okay. Thank you so much for everybody watching. Thank you to Banza the baby, Emma the baby, Kelsey the baby. Thank you so much to Arthur the baby.
Thank you, Mommy Isabella. Ooh, Mommy.
To me, mommy, you're D&D mommy. We're also going to throw our raid over to Distracted Elf to see what they're up to, and we will see you all next time. Bye. Take care. Get vaccinated. Delta's out here. Please.
Delta's out here. Get vaccinated.
Delta's out here.